Hello again. I've mentioned before the huge number of subjects on which I am not an expert. The list is a long one, and to it I must now add international law, something about which I have only the haziest idea. It is claimed that the European Human Rights Act obliges us to allow illegal immigrants to enter Britain in an irregular fashion rather than using airports or the Channel Tunnel like most of us. It is also said that we have both a legal and moral duty to allow people who claim asylum here to remain until their application has been properly considered. As I say, I will take the word of those who assert this, and so for the rest of this video, let us take all that as read, shall we? I want to talk about something which I've been witnessing for the last week or so, and I must ask viewers to bear with me. The relevance of what I'm about to say will become apparent. It's not just some old gimp rambling on aimlessly, or so at least I hope. The thumbnail to this video shows a small tent surrounded by what looks like heaps of rubbish. It has been pitched for a week now on Debden Broadway in the Essex town of Loughton, between Lloyd's Bank and the Wenzel Donut Emporium. A young English guy is sleeping in it, even though the pouring rain which we have had lately has made everything soaking wet, and the nights have been rather chilly as well. He's homeless. I've taken to buying food from the supermarket and delivering it to him and chatting at the same time. His story is a sad one, which I shall not share with viewers because I don't think he would wish me to do so. It's enough for me to say that it's my belief that he is homeless through no fault of his own, but rather as a result of a concatenation of unfortunate circumstances. Here then is the situation, and it is a most vexing conundrum to me, one which I hope that viewers will aid me in solving. The situation is really quite simple. On the beach at Calais, right now, are rough sleepers, foreigners who have no home and nowhere to go. On the street just round the corner from where I live is also a rough sleeper with no home and nowhere to go. If one of the rough sleepers from Calais should somehow be able to make it to the middle of the English Channel, a lifeboat from this country will collect him and bring him safely ashore in England. At that point, even if he has no identification at all, no document, passport or anything, he will be looked after, given a hot meal, and then very likely be put up in a hotel. From that point on, he is guaranteed a safe, warm home. More than that, cooked meals will be provided for him 3 times a day. His situation will be immeasurably better than it was when he was sleeping rough on the beach. I doubt very much that anybody will say that I am misrepresenting the situation so far. The case is very different for the young Englishman sleeping rough 100 yards from Debden Tube Station, which is on the Central Line. If he attempts to get help from social services, the police, the local authority, hospital, or anywhere else, he will be treated like a criminal. His papers will be demanded of him, he will be obliged to prove his identity and asked all kinds of intrusive questions. There will be no question of his being rushed off to a hotel. Instead, every agency with which he comes into contact will give him the runaround and try to make out that he is not their responsibility, or to use the jargon, he will be signposted towards other services. He will, in other words, be treated like a terrible nuisance. And if he can't provide things such as a national insurance number or references relating to his past, he will not be given any assistance at all. If he's very lucky, he might grudgingly be found a place in some hostel, but that's likely to be only for a night or two. Nobody is responsible for feeding and clothing him. The people he deals with will make it clear that they wish he would just get lost and move to another town. I wonder if any viewers think that I'm wrong about this or exaggerating the situation. I assure you that I'm not. Here then is the question. Is it just that we should be so ready to provide? And by is it just, I mean, is it equitable? Is it fair that we should be so ready to provide good accommodation for rough sleepers from France, but refuse to do so for rough sleepers in London or Essex? What do viewers think? I honestly would welcome an explanation of why anybody feels that this current state of affairs is a desirable one. It's no use going on about the Tories either, because this was precisely the same situation when Tony Blair and Gordon Brown were in office. We appear to have unlimited duties towards and responsibility for any random foreigners who might fetch up here as rough sleepers, but none at all towards English people in the same position. This leads me to another point, if you'll bear with me. We are earnestly assured in many quarters that we have a duty of care for refugees and responsibility to offer shelter to the victims of war and persecution. It's rare in this country that an application for asylum is turned down. And of course, once somebody has been granted asylum, they're entitled to send home for their family and who will then join them in Britain. What, you didn't know this? Every person who is granted asylum here equates to 4 or 5 other people being given permission to come and join him from abroad. Britain grants over 75% of such claims, and yet France only grants fewer than 40% of claims for asylum. We now grant asylum to twice as many applicants as was the case before we left the European Union. Since France has equal obligations to us under the European Human Rights Act, and most of our asylum seekers are coming here from France, there is clearly some kind of mystery. If the French feel that they have a duty towards less than 40% of these people, and yet we feel that we have a duty towards twice as many as that, which of the two countries are right? Are France falling down on their human rights obligations, or are we too enthusiastic about them? And how come we are twice as ready to grant asylum now than was the case a couple of years ago? I will be glad to hear what viewers might have to say to help me puzzle out the matters which I've raised in this video, because I'm honestly not able to make any sense of it by myself.